Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Fatback 4 Daily. It is Tuesday night, and listen, there's no football to speak about, so we decided we were going to pick a World 11. We asked loads of people basically about positions, goalkeeper and the back four being the big ones yesterday and today. And we put it to a Twitter poll and there was some interesting results. Tonight's show is brought to you by Paddy Power, a bookies, a website and an app. If you gamble, please gamble responsibly and remember to do so with Paddy Power. With me tonight will be Phil and will be Keith. And I'm not going to lie to you, there's going to be more there. Here we go. And here we go. Anybody that has been following our Twitter today will see that we've decided to pick a World 11, starting from goalkeeper, going through the back four, a midfield three, and a forward three. We've concentrated in the last 24 hours or so on goalkeeper and back four. With me tonight is Phil and Keith, and as I said in the intro, there's going to be war because at the first sight of the first poll, Phil had a complete breakdown. He broke out 2 bottles of wine, 2 bottles of gin, mixed them into a big barrel and started drinking them through a straw. Phil, have you calmed down at all yet?
Sorry, Gav, I'm just here self-isolating at the moment.
Yeah. And is that just to keep yourself away from people, or is it anything to do with the virus?
Just because I hate people in general, they're all wankers.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
Chris is on. He says, good evening. Avo says the same. Chris Brack says, fullback should have been Maldini and Lamb. Lamb was great at right back or left back. To be talk about that in a few minutes. Don't worry about it. We absolutely will get there. We absolutely will. Now, right, so this is the way it's going to work, right? We put these polls out. We spoke and we asked a couple of different people about certain players. We got a list together. We threw them out there. People were happy with them. People were unhappy with them. People wanted different players in. So throughout the series of pods throughout the week, we will be putting and discussing the Twitter polls and the results of that and the winners and losers. On top of that, we're going to pick an alternative World 11 as we go and put the two teams against each other at the end of the week and see who comes out on top. I think that's the fairest way to do things. So, Phil, I want to come to you first and the goalkeepers. So,
yeah,
the goalkeepers that were put up for this was Buffon,
right,
Casillas,
right,
Schmeichel,
yeah,
and the last one I think was it might have been Oliver Kahn.
do you want me to double check so that we aren't making a mistake?
No,
it was Oliver Kahn. Yeah,
I'll double check it here as
we
go.
But, come on, anyway.
So, just first of all, I know you got very upset from the off. The results were Kahn with 12%, Schmeichel with 19%, Casillas with 19%, Buffon with a massive 51%. Phil, those four goalkeepers, I know you don't agree with Buffon as the best goalkeeper since 1990, but first of all, give us a little word on the four of them. Who would you have picked out of them four? And is there somebody outside of them four that you'd like to put forward as an alternative in the alternative World 11?
Okay, so look, the Buffon thing is basically generated by hipster bullshit, right? So like every fucking hipster wanker is gonna pick fucking Buffon, mainly because Buffon, and they've been listening to gobshites Buffon about Buffon for the best part of 10 years now at this stage, who claim to be Liverpool fans but are actually arseholes of the highest order and fucking snort Dorito dust constantly in wardrobes because they've been self-isolating for the best part of 4 years despite knowing where they live in a fucking wardrobe. But look, there's only one choice in that four that's there, right? Buffon was a phenomenal goalkeeper, did everything brilliantly. His longevity was excellent, did amazing things with Juventus in a league that was basically had one team and did great things for Italy, right? I'm not going to denigrate him as a player because I think he's a smashing, he's one of the top goalkeepers, but we're talking about the best generational player from 1990. And is he the best generational player from 1990? I don't think so. I think in 10 years' time, people will remember Buffon a bit like they remember exactly. So then you look at Ollie Kahn, right? Can falls in the exact same bracket, right? I'd actually argue that Bodo Illgner was a better German goalkeeper than Ollie Kahn. And even Jordan Kahn's reign, like you had a number of German goalkeepers who challenged him for that number 1 jersey at Germany and were potentially talked about transfers to Bayern Munich. So, again, I have no idea what Kahn is doing there outside the fact that he had blonde hair and played in the 1990 treble thing. And I think there's so much recency bias in people's votes. It's stupid. Basically, right? Schmeichel out of the 4 of them is the only choice. Schmeichel changed his goalkeeping in the 90s. Okay. Fundamentally changed how goalkeepers played, did, and were looked at, right? They stopped being just the guys who stop shots, and suddenly distribution comes into the game. Okay, so for me, there's no even question mark. Among the 4 that was put up there, Schmeichel is so far ahead of the rest that it's ridiculous to have a poll. Right, that was why I got annoyed. And then when I saw the results, it's like they're going hipster bollocks. It's like fucking picking some random lad, Maurizio Gantz, off Sensible World of Soccer in 1998.
Okay,
and claiming he was going to be the next greatest striker of all time. All right.
Okay. Yep. Okay, so
outside choice, Gav. Outside choice. Right, for me, the one name that should have been on there is another German goalkeeper and wasn't. And he's the only one that can step up to Schmeichel's mark over the past 20 years or 20 years or whatever it is. And that's Manuel Neuer, because he's the next goalkeeper that changes the face of goalkeeping. Because the goalkeepers we have today are directly related to what Neuer did. And I'm just on Casillas, right, because I haven't got to him. I think Casillas, for what he did and the trophies he won, deserves to be the number 2 on this above Buffon. And that's because, like, you're talking, he dominated the game from a trophy perspective of all the ones we're talking about, and he deserves to be in there in the top 2 recognition. But for me, if you're going to pick it, you have to pick a goalkeeper who changes the way goalkeeping was played. Okay. And that would be either Neuer or Schmeichel. That's one of those for me.
Avo agrees with you on the... Sorry, Chris Brack says Buffon was the only one of those not to win a Champions League. Avo says when Casillas was in goal for Real Madrid when we beat them 4-0, he's outstanding. It should have been about 10-0 if it wasn't for him. Stephen O'Connor's gone on to right backs, and Stephen, we will get to that. Keith, Phil's given a good rundown there on those goalkeepers. I'm going to say it out straight. I was surprised by the poll. I didn't think Kahn would win it. I didn't think Casillas would win it, but I was surprised Schmeichel didn't. And I don't know whether that's because it's a poll from a Liverpool podcast looking, but if you talk to people about with regards to Schmeichel, they go, listen, that fella was just... people talk about Cantona in the early, from 93 onwards, and he leaves United in 97. He only does 4 years at United, I think. But they'd speak of him as being the big thing. Schmeichel was the biggest signing they ever made, in my opinion. And all right, Buffon, longevity and stuff like that. Where do you stand on these 4? And is there anybody outside of that, i.e. Neuer? Because Avo agrees with Phil on that point. Neuer should have been in there as well.
Yeah, I can agree sort of with the Neuer point, similar to what Phil said about Schmeichel. They did sort of change the way goalkeepers played the game. And another one that I would have thrown into the mix is, again, another United keeper, Edwin van der Sar. I think Edwin van der Sar was a great keeper over the past 20-odd years as well, for different teams. He played for Ajax, he's done it for Juventus, he's done it for Man United. Like, he really had a good career as well. But I think I suppose there is a lot of recency bias in these types of things. As you pointed out there, Gav, Schmeichel retires. Well, he quit United in 97, but then doesn't really go on with the goals.
Cantona does. Cantona comes in
Schmeichel
and leaves
left
in 97. Schmeichel leaves.
When did Schmeichel leave?
I'm going to say somewhere around 2000s, in around that.
Was he there for that treble, was he?
They go through... He was there for the treble, but I think they go through a couple of years after that with the likes of Bosnich and Taibbi, and I'm thinking that's around 2002. So, yeah, I'd say Schmeichel's probably gone by 2001. I'll look it up now for you. But his influence was absolutely huge for me.
But the point is, I suppose, of anybody that's maybe, I don't know, under 35, maybe 30, 34, 33, mightn't have a good sort of memory of what Schmeichel was. He was fucking phenomenal. Big giant bastard who stopped everything with his face, with his fucking balls, with everything. Anything he could stop it with, he stopped it with. And it was just an absolute nightmare of a goalie to come up against. Do you know what I mean?
Schmeichel leaves Manchester United in the summer of 1999. There's
like,
one for you.
yes, it's a long time ago now. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's really is.
But come here,
So,
Keith, just on that, right? Schmeichel, like, people forget. Like, people don't understand what he was he was just different to what goalkeepers looked like before. He was 100 kilos in weight at 6'3", but he wasn't like Neville Southall was 120 kilos and was only 5'9", right? But like, Schmeichel was pure muscle. He was an absolute beast. He changed what goalkeepers look like. And I remember the only player that I could ever remember getting the better of Schmeichel on a regular basis was Robbie Fowler. And like, I lived through the 90s. I lived through the 80s. It was a young kid coming in supporting football and thought Liverpool was this was just the way things are. Liverpool are the greatest football team of all time. And then my heart is destroyed through the 90s. And every time we played them, you turn on the television. And I was a goalkeeper, so like, you turn on television and you couldn't help but look at this fella go, how does he do that? How does he do that? And people forget that when Schmeichel signs for United, he doesn't sign as a 17 or 18-year-old. He comes in as a 25-year-old. So, and he was signed from Bromby, right? And it's like, they sign him on a whim and a prayer, and he comes in and doesn't just change United as a football team. He changes them as a club, because it's like Alisson coming into Liverpool. We stop being a good team and become this rock, right? Our defence is just so solid. Nobody ever gets past us. And if you get past the centre-backs, they just have this beast standing in the goal that there's no way past. Even when they think they're past him, there's no way past. Like,
it's an excellent point, yeah.
You know the way goalkeepers come out nowadays and they sit up as they slide out on a ball, and they spread their legs and sit up. Schmeichel invents that. What you were trying to describe there, what was like, imagine if all the things Kasper Schmeichel did was a save. That's what Peter Schmeichel was. So like, this is what we're talking about. Do you know what I mean?
You know what? Like, when people speak about Schmeichel, and I'm a little bit younger than Phil, but like, when Schmeichel signs for United, I think he signs in 91, so I'm about 9 years of age. So, I can remember football a few years before that, but it's when you're 9 and 10, it's when you really start taking notice of players, what they do, opposition, and it's around the time where you're seeing a little bit more football on the TV. Of course, it explodes a year later in 92 when the Premier League comes along. But for me, when you look at Alisson now, and people say you have to put it in this part of the net to get it by Alisson. That's what Schmeichel was. You had to be like, literally pick a square in the net, or you aren't getting it in there, because he was big, he was athletic, he was commanding of his box, he could throw a ball 80 yards. He was the one that always, to me, was he won't kick this, he just get this and throw it. He was throwing balls. He was throwing balls to Ryan Giggs 75 yards, and Giggs was just running onto them and literally running down the wing and knocking it in the inside, and someone was putting it in the net. It was like, one of those goals on FIFA that people think you aren't allowed to score. That's what he was doing. Schmeichel, for me, Phil is right. Kasper Schmeichel, you see him multiplying by about 10. He looks bigger. He's more athletic. He gets to more. He commands things more. When Schmeichel made a mistake, it was in the news for a week, because that's the amount of mistakes he made was minimal.
But when he made a mistake, he usually looked like a fucking idiot doing it as well, because they were usually howlers. But that's because he was so unorthodox, and he was so the way he was sort of defending and different than every other keeper out there. So he'd look stupid, when he gets lobbed by, was a Poborski at Euro 96, I think, and he's sort of floundering. And a few other, even against Davarsuka that was it. And Phil said Robbie Fowler as well made him look like a bit of a gobshite a couple of times as well, but it's very rare that anyone did. And another good point comparison with Alisson, like the upgrade. Who was the keeper at United before that? Jim Leighton, Les Seeley, I think.
Jim Leighton, Les
Seeley.
There's a bleeding, there's a jump for you. Do you know what I mean? To go from them two, who are just jobbers really for Ferguson, and then to go and get this fella in, a hell of a jump. Very similar to our increase when we seen Alisson. So you can't really argue with that. Yeah, it's.
So the poll gives you Buffon as the winner, right? And that's fine. We're absolutely fine with that. We've had a rundown on Buffon and his longevity, really top quality goalkeeper. But as the guest tonight, are you both agree that Schmeichel is the man to put forward as the alternative in this World 11?
Yeah.
Phil?
I don't know, Gav, and I threw in the Manuel Neuer show, and it's mainly because, a bit like the Schmeichel thing, right? You know the way Alisson is so fast off his line, and he sprays the ball around like a centre midfielder. And when we saw Ederson come into the Premiership, it was like, oh my God, look at this fella who plays at the top of the D and wants to play in midfield. And even when Reina came into the club and he was doing that, then you saw Neuer do it, and it was on a different level. I'll never forget the time I saw him playing in the centre midfield for Bayern Munich at one stage. And it wasn't that he was playing, they threw him in a random friendly. This was in a league match, and he'd come out of the box and decide to get involved in the centre midfield. And you're right there going, this is insane, right? But he wasn't making an arse of himself either. He was picking the ball up, moving into a wide position, and spraying a ball 50 yards across the pitch to the far side to David Alaba, who then set up a goal. And you're there going, this is ridiculous. But goalkeepers could do this. It's like when you're a kid and you used to play fly goalkeeper, not last man back, but fly goalkeeper. And the goalkeeper also happened to be the best player on the team, right? And he'd come out a goal, and he'd start baiting all the lads, and he'd be making all the goals, and at the same time then he'd run back and he'd pull off ridiculous amounts of the saves, and he'd do stupid things, and you'd be there going, how is this fella so good? Not only is the best player on the pitch, he's also the best goalkeeper on the pitch. And like, for me, there's a reason why Neuer, I think, is the last goalkeeper to be in the Ballon d'Or top 3 or something like that in the last 20 years or something like that, because he was on a different level to absolutely everyone that came before him. And now we expect our goalkeepers to be able to pass the ball, to play with their feet, to play really high up in the box, to be aggressive, to do all the things that Schmeichel did, but also do all the things that the old sweeper, and when we get on to talk about Baresi, but to do what Baresi used to do and play as that man behind the back four. Yeah. And give him that coverage with the feet, because if he gets the ball played through quickly, you can take a touch and start attack offs really quickly. And that to me is like, it's Schmeichel 2.0. You know what I mean? And when, like, Schmeichel to me was always, and I'm going to go really back now into the 80s. There was a Russian goalkeeper called YNWA, and he was the next man on from Lev Yashin. And when Desailly played for Russia, it was like he used to do with Schmeichel. He was a beast, and he used to make these ridiculous saves, and he was just everywhere in the goal and stopping everything. He was brilliant to watch. And if anyone get footage of the Euro 88s and watch Desailly and go for the USSR, it's just off the charts, the goals the saves that he's making. But then you have Schmeichel that does the same things, the 1992 European Championships, and then what he does for United. And then Neuer, the goalkeepers up until Neuer comes along are all pretty standard in the way they're playing. They're advancing what Schmeichel has done in terms of that body spread and eagles. And you look at Casillas and Buffon, and they're brilliant at doing that. And they're great goal line goalkeepers, but not really. You wouldn't call them sweeper keepers. They were just very good at
fairly orthodox keepers. And be a progression from what Schmeichel, sort of how Schmeichel progressed goalkeeping, then it was at a standard. And I agree with you 100% there, Phil. Neuer does change that. The only other one around that time that was even doing anything similar, and it wasn't even at that level, was probably Victor Valdez at Barcelona. But that's the way Barcelona were maybe training their keepers to play. Pepe Reina as well, but then he came through Barcelona. So
well,
there wasn't many.
There's loads of goalkeepers we could have mentioned. Like, I know, Phil, you're a massive fan of David Seaman. I know you're a massive fan of him because I know you've mentioned him before. But like Kevin Sullivan says, and he echoes what you're saying there, Neuer changed what keepers did. The sweeper keeper role was born with him. Avo says Neuer for me too, for sweeper keeper to make it look as if it was the way forward. Kevin Sullivan then says you could tell how good Schmeichel was when you look how much of a downgrade Barthez was, who was a World Cup winner. Lads, I'm going to have to put you on the spot before we move on to the next position. So, Buffon is the listener and the viewer's pick. Who are we putting forward as our alternate as a goalkeeper in the World 11? Who are we going with? Because it seems to be
Neuer. Phil's expertise on this one.
I'll let Phil have this one because he loves the goalkeeping stuff. So, what are you going to go with, Phil?
Oh man, this is the toughest choice I've ever had to make.
Apart from gin or wine.
Or should I live in a tent, or should I live in a cardboard box? Like, that was also tough. So it was like, I'll go with, Jesus man, it's so tough because you look at the honours that Neuer has in comparison to Schmeichel, right? And it's fucking ridiculous. But I'm going to marginally go with Schmeichel, and mainly because I think his step forward as a goalkeeper is bigger the Neuer step forward, if you get me, from what Schmeichel did. Yeah?
Okay. Yeah, no, that's absolutely fine. So we have Buffon for the listeners' team, and we have Schmeichel for the Trippers alternate team, as we'll call it. And as I said, there'll be different, guests on this show throughout the week, so it won't be just, Keith picks all the team. It'll be a mix of alternates as we go. Right, so we moved on then to right backs. Now the four in there were Lilian Thuram, Dani Alves, Cafu, and Zanetti. The results were Thuram with 9%, Dani Alves with 26%, Cafu with 54%, and Zanetti with 10%. Keith, did that one surprise you?
It didn't surprise me now. I picked Zanetti all day long in this, and I know Phil will have a different answer on this. A certain left back might come into the equation onto this one for Phil, but for me, Javier Zanetti is the best right back I've seen playing in my lifetime.
Okay.
So 10%, again, I'm putting that down to maybe a recency bias for the likes of Dani Alves.
Okay.
So I was a bit surprised, but in one hand, not surprised on the other,
Yeah, no worries. Phil, I know these four probably upset you as well. I did hear murmurings of Gary Neville, Dennis Irwin and stuff like that when this came out, but just looking at those four, so you have Lilian Thuram, Dani Alves, Cafu and Zanetti. If you were to pick one out of these four, who would be your pick? Obviously Cafu gets the vote, over half the votes, but who would your pick be out of them four?
It's really tough. Cafu and Zanetti are on a par, but I'd probably just marginally side with Zanetti on that one. And probably because he was a better goal scoring threat than Cafu. And I'm sure somebody would probably throw stats at me, but from memory, I used to remember Zanetti taking free kicks and penalties, and I don't remember Cafu doing that.
Yeah, Zanetti was unbelievable.
So that's where the difference comes. But look, none of them would be my pick. None.
Okay, so I know none of them would be your pick. Were you surprised that Thuram got such a low vote?
Yeah, but then the problem with Thuram is you could also include him as a centre back.
Yeah, but you see, he's a right back.
I know, but here's the problem. Here's the problem I was saying to you, and this is when you got all ratty with me because I was giving it about the right back picks, right? Like for me, Sergio Ramos, for the majority of the start of his career up until 2010 to 12, he's a right back, and he's a game changer at Real Madrid when he comes through the ranks, right? And Gary Neville and Dennis Irwin, as much as they played for United, and like people are going to be like, "What's your man talking about all these United players when he's meant to be a Liverpool fan?" But look, at the same time, they're a dominant team for the best part of 20 years, and these two fellas at right back were different gravy. Now, the Gary Neville show is probably very much like the Buffon show in the goalkeepers, in that he was just an exceptionally good right back, right? And his consistency level over such a long time. And people say, look at Cafu and everything like that. But like, he was doing that. The only difference was his dad's name is Neville, and his brother's name is Phil Neville, and he has a head like a rat. Like, do you know what I mean? So it's like, if he was Brazilian, we'd be raving about him in the same way Cafu was. Right, like honestly, he was a stunningly good right back, and he deserves to be in the equation for when we're talking about the best of from 1990 right the way through to now. Dennis Irwin, lads, I swear, like I remember growing up watching Dennis Irwin and being so jealous he played for United. I just remember him scoring free kicks and penalties for fun all day. Like we talked about trend. Dennis Irwin was doing that for United back in the day, and then when they realised it was easier to buy a right back than a left back, they just moved Irwin across to left back, and he never broke his stride. He was the best left back then in the league instead of being the best right back. Like this is what we're talking about. This guy was off the charts good, different gravy. But like, look, honestly, Zanetti is Zanetti and Cafu. I can get on board with. Dani Alves shouldn't be in there at all. A very good player, but like, deeply flawed as a fullback and nowhere near the top end that we're talking about here. Lilian Thuram, can buy because of his performances, but if you're going to have Lilian Thuram in there, for me, you'd have to have Sergio Ramos in there as well, because for the exact same reasons, right? And arguably Sergio Ramos's team and period as a right back, both club and at World Cup level, is a longer duration than Thuram's was.
Okay.
Thuram's club career is longer duration than, like, you know, Juventus doing all the things they did amazingly, brilliant. And then, but like for me, lads, Philip Lahm.
Well, Philip Lahm ends up in the left back category.
But he should be in the right back category.
But
he
why?
started because he spent more time as a right back than he did left back.
I'm not too sure he did, Phil.
He did.
I'm not too sure he did.
Did, Gav?
I think
He won all his trophies as a right back.
I'm not too sure. I think if you look at it, I think he ends up as a Guardiola. Was it Guardiola moves him into the kind of deep midfield for Bayern?
For about 2 games.
Not for 2 games. He didn't do it for 2 games. He didn't do it for 2 games, Phil. Because I tell you, I probably see Bayern probably 2 times a season, and I just didn't see him them 2 times. Do you know what I mean? but with the fullback thing, I think he played one side for Germany and one side for Bayern. And for me, I just like. I'll put it to this way: when I remember going back years and years, Liverpool were linked with Philippe Lahm, or spoken about, or they were interested in. And I never thought of him as Philippe Lahm coming in as a left back or right back. I always thought he'd come in at left back. No. That's just the way I am. But you're not. We're looking at this. We're not happy with the shout of Cafu overall, because I think Keith's swaying towards Zanetti. Phil wants Dennis Irwin. I'll give Keith.
No, I'm going with Philippe Lahm. I think Philippe Lahm is the best right back in the last 30 years.
Okay, so you're going with Philippe Lahm. Okay, no problem. So if we're going with this, if you're Philippe Lahm or Javier Zanetti, Keith, I'm going to probably give Keith a shout on this. Keith, have you been swayed at all by the Philippe Lahm shout being thrown at Phil, even though he's a left back?
I do agree. Well, I agree Philippe Lahm's a right back as well, I have to be honest. But I'd associate him as a right back more than a left back. But I always thought he was one that could, he was similar to Irwin. He could play both sides, so it was one of them, you could put him in either or. But I'd still go with Zanetti as the best right back. And I know people would say, Zanetti was very defensive. Look, I'm nearly 40, right? So I grew up looking at Serie A in the 90s. And if you're a defender in one of the big Italian teams, that'll do for me, and an Argentinian defender as well. People now will be like, Argentina defenders are muck. Back then, Argentinians were the business. So you wouldn't sway me off Javier Zanetti in any bleeding on any argument. So I'd go Zanetti, but I do think Lahm is the closest one to him by a long way.
Can I ask a question? And this may sound a stupid question. Some of the questions I ask are stupid. Probably people say most of them are, but was Javier Zanetti always a right back?
No, he was a left back.
He could play.
No, but seriously, in all seriousness, was he always a right back? Because this might be just completely out there, but I always had thoughts of Zanetti was a midfielder.
He played
and
midfield
ended up
and
playing
he played
right back and
centre back as well.
I thought he was a midfielder when he started out.
No, when he signed for Inter Milan,
he was really a wing back.
Yeah, wing back, exactly. Inter Milan signed him and Roberto Carlos, I think, in the same summer. Roberto Carlos on the left and Javier Zanetti on the right, and they played, they were onto something there. But he was much better defensively than he was, even though he was a wing back. He was a much more solid. Nowadays I'd say, you want an attacking fullback, but back then it was all day long. It was the defender, Javier Zanetti. Going quickly back to Philippe Lahm, I've just had a look at his stats. He's got career 265 games at right back and 200 games at left back. It's close, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's right like Pele that said he scored 1,000 goals or 1,500 goals. They were in training and all. I'd say 65 of them games are right back for training. I just always seen him as a left back. I don't know why.
That's because you don't watch enough Bundesliga. I told you this before.
That's because nobody watches too much Bundesliga. Let's be honest about it. Well, you do, and Grizz claims to, but no, I don't. But obviously,
I stopped watching football, man. Stopped because coronavirus. I'm watching all sorts now on the television.
Yeah. Brazilian second division and all. But no, look,
the Mexican Liga.
It's one of those. Phil, do you object? I know you want Lamb, but do you object to the Zanetti show from Keith?
Yeah, because for me, you look at Philippe Lahm. Okay, so what's the missing thing? If you compare the two of them, right, both of them phenomenal footballers in their own right. Okay,
yeah.
But Philippe Lahm also wins the World Cup, and he also captains Germany, and he also you're talking about a player that's actually at Franz Beckenbauer's level. That's what Philippe Lahm is. He's also has a doctorate in economics. And he's the type of fella that in this current climate is the type of fella we need leading the world. Don't mind a football team, the world. To me, Philippe Lahm is not just the best footballer we're going to talk about in the defence, but also the best person and the best human to lead us through this storm.
So you not only want Philip Lam at right back, you want Philip Lam to lead us through the coronavirus.
Want him as Taoiseach.
Okay, all right, fair
Taoiseach
enough. Well, listen,
leader.
Lamb features in the next little part, so we're going to stick with Zanetti.
Yeah,
So Zanetti joins Schmeichel in our alternate, and the other team so far is Buffon and Cafu.
Right, I'm getting the centre
All
backs.
right. Chris
I'm furious at the centre backs.
Yeah, the centre backs is going to be war. There's going to be war. Let me see.
You may as well have picked fellas from the Hungarian 1954 team, like with some of the shouts that are in that.
Yeah,
Chris
I'm a big fan of the Hungarian 1954 team. They're my favourites.
Not the Division 3 Hungarian Ferenc Fakos teams. Go on.
Honved and the likes. Big fan.
I'll try this again. Chris Brack says, stick to your guns. It's definitely Lamb. Dylan O'Rourke says, there's been no drop-off from Lamb to Kimmich. Expand on how the best right-back hasn't been missed. Well, I'm lucky I'm only reading that now because I can get on to the next little bit, but he's had you off there, Phil. I'm being honest with you. But look, the next one...
Not really, because if you look at the trophy hall, I'm sure that Joshua Kimmich hasn't won the same amount of trophies as Philip Lam, and he hasn't won a World Cup with Germany, so he's talking through his bollocks.
See, there's the gin. Left back. So, the votes on this one were Maldini. People argued he was a centre-back. Maldini was a left-back.
Was a left-back.
Marcelo, Lam, and Roberto Carlos. Roberto Carlos comes in with 30% of the vote. Lam with 12%. Marcelo with 5%. And Maldini with 53%. Phil, there's no argument against Maldini here, is there?
Dennis Irwin.
Right, okay.
Philip Lam.
Dennis Irwin and Philip Lam, now that you're calling him a left back to suit whatever you need to say. But seriously, Phil, Maldini was just a. People say now Virgil van Dijk is a Rolls Royce of a footballer.
But can I say something, Gav?
Maldini was outstanding.
No, honestly, right. What killed me off in this was I mentioned that Bergamy should have been included, and somebody said Bergamy was too old. Bergamy played until 1999, so he has every right to be included. Franco Brazy.
1999, he would have been 36, 37 years of age.
No,
really, so.
when Bergamy finished in 1999, he was 42. But
his Wikipedia's wrong because it says he's 56 today.
Bergamy went into the Italian 82 team. He was only something like 17, but he looked about 45.
11.
He looked about 45, a big huge moustache and all. Like, so I think he was always thought he was older than he was.
He probably just went out to get his man smokes, in fairness.
He grew a moustache and a monobrow at the same time, and it looked like he had a parallel line running across his forehead and just below his nose. It was incredible. But Bergamy, for me, is just... should have been in the equation because he's ridiculous. He's also ridiculous. He's a bit like Zanetti, but if you put Zanetti in, he's Bergamy Mark II because Zanetti wins 16 trophies at Inter over the course of his time there, and he's captain for 15 of those trophies. Yeah. So I can sort of get on board with Zanetti. That's why I'm saying it's so close between him and Lam in terms of who I think is the best right back. But look, there's an argument to say that Paolo Maldini is the best right back here as well. And there's an argument to say that Sergio Ramos is the best right back on the basis of what we're talking about when you start comparing trophy hauls and career stats. But look, there's no argument that there has ever been a better left back or centre back than Paolo Maldini. None.
He's just, you know what, like for me, and I'll get to Keaton in a second, I always remember on Irish television you had RT1 and you had Network 2, right? And they used to show Italian football on Network 2 on a Monday night at about 9:30, and it was brilliant. You go on, they show all the highlights from all the games and the goals and stuff like that. Following on from Channel 4, when they used to do their stuff on with Richardson, wasn't it, on a Sunday?
Yeah.
I used to watch it, and I suppose that's what got me into Italian football. Now, don't get me wrong, the Milan team of 94, 95, Van Basten and all these, and they take Barcelona apart, I think, in Athens in the 94 or 95 European Cup. 94, because they get beaten in Ajax win in 95.
Yeah, Ajax win in 95.
But just watching Paolo Maldini, and you see all these quotes saying, oh, well, if you have to do a slide tackle, you're in the wrong position. All that's bollocks. Paolo Maldini would be giving fellas 10-yard starts, making it up, sliding in, making tackles, never out of position. He was the Rolls Royce of footballers. He was the fourth Rolls Royce footballer I ever seen. I'm being honest with you. I just thought he was just flawless. And you see him go through his career, and he plays until he's 40 odd. He's just outstanding. And I agree with Phil. You can't argue anywhere from 1990 onwards about Paolo Maldini. There's no point even doing a poll, in my opinion, but we had to. But Keith, What a player.
He was unreal. He was, again, you could say he was a centre-back. He was a centre-back for the later part of his career, but I'd always identify Maldini as a left-back. You know, to me, he was always a left-back. And no one comes close. And that's why I think it's harsh for Lamb to get lumped in the left-backs, because he doesn't stand a chance up against Paolo Maldini. But he had everything. You know, he was tall. He wasn't huge. He was tall enough. He was quick. He was good-looking. Could do it all. Do you know what I mean? Like, he was really, really that good. And you're right, that AC Milan team back then was just formidable for the whole lot of the 90s and into even when the team that we bet in the European Cup final in 2005, it was all built on a rock of a defence, and Maldini's there for all of it. Do you know what I mean? He's there from the 90s when Capello's team and all was there. He's there right the way through to 2005, you know, so his career is just unrivaled. You know, we can say some players went into their 40s. Like Ryan Giggs gets talked about as a player that played into his 40s. He didn't really play that much, you know what I mean? He was very, very much a bit part player for the last part of his career. And the same for the likes of even Costa Curta, let's say, at Milan. Costa Curta was a great centre-back as well. But he didn't play that much. He was around till he was about 44, but he didn't really figure that much. But Maldini kept a very high level all the way through his career, which, you know, not many have done. So to me, again, it's unrivaled. Yeah, Maldini all the way.
Like, people are saying the argument could be he's a better centre back than he was a left back. Have you watched Paolo Maldini as a left back?
Jesus, no.
Like, he was just outrageously good. Like, he didn't look like he had lightning pace, but he was really, really quick. He was good in the air. He could score a goal, you know, from left back. He could play football. He could shepherd wingers. He could let them run against them, and he'd do it all day. He was always in position. Watch Paolo Maldini as a left back and tell me he's a better centre half. I think is absolutely insane. A lot of people are going on here about Ashley Cole being the best left back of his generation. Listen, Paolo Maldini was in that generation. Paolo Maldini didn't finish playing football about 10 years ago, and you could probably argue that Ashley Cole stopped about 5 years ago, so they're probably in the same generation. Ashley Cole.
Sorry, there's no one even putting Ashley Cole into that sentence.
Ashley Cole isn't in the same stratosphere as Paolo Maldini.
Sure, we may as well say that Stig Bjornaby is the best left back if we're going to start saying Ashley Cole is the best left back.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, nobody touches Maldini. Nobody touches Maldini. No. This is a fella who started in the early 90s and goes right the way up until 2037. Like, this is, you know, he has longevity, he has trophies, he has World Cups, he has European Championships, he is the club force, he has renaissances, he has revenge missions, he loses that Istanbul final, he gains revenge in Athens. He is the mental strength of Milan. And it's not surprising that since Maldini's retired, Milan has been a basket case of a club.
Yeah, absolutely.
A basket case.
Absolutely. Like, the only situation we're caught in here at the moment is that we're completely unanimous on Maldini, and nobody else should be anywhere near him. But in the alternate world of our World 11, we're going to have to put somebody in at left back. Keith,
Philip Lam.
Philip Lam, he wants to go in left back. Keith, would you agree with Philip Lam?
Yeah, 100%.
Well, I'll just throw a different name into the mix because I don't know. He won't get.
Don't say Dennis Irwin.
No, he won't get a mention. He won't get a mention anywhere else. But like, you could say Rob Jones. He won't get a mention anywhere else, right? But like, David Alaba, is one of the most unsung, brilliant.
Moves around too much in the pitch, Phil.
Generation forwards. And he's
very
played
similar to Lam, isn't it? Like, you know,
and he played most of his football at Bayern Munich at left back.
Yeah, but he plays at left back. He played centre half against Chelsea a couple of weeks ago. I've seen him play midfield I've seen him playing the number 10 for Austria.
He plays number 10 for Austria all the time. Yeah.
You know, that's the only thing that holds him back, because I think he's outrageously good. He's an outrageously good footballer, David Alaba. And you know, when you look at that other clown beside him that people rate really highly, and he's not any good, the German fella sent off in the last World Cup, I think.
Boateng?
Yeah. Not a good defender. And, you know, people say, "Oh, put him with him and put him with him." Alaba is look. If you start playing that many positions, that's how good a footballer he is. He's a good shout for left back. I agree, but he just moves around the pitch too much for me. If he'd have stuck at left back, he'd be going absolutely amazing. Then again, Byrne played a left back there against Chelsea the other week, and people are claiming to be the best of all time. So that's the way it goes.
I know, but like if you, like the other thing, and we'll get into it when we're talking about centre backs. We haven't really included modern day footballers, right? Mm-hmm. And to be fair, if you're going to say right, we can't pick Maldini because it's the alternative, then you get into the next level, and the next level does have like Gary Neville was a phenomenal left back. Ashley Cole was an amazing left back, and then like if you're going to go for them, Roberto Carlos and Marcelo Salas is like you just wonder. When you watch them playing for Real Madrid, Marcelo doesn't get the plaudits that Carlos did purely because Roberto Carlos scored one free kick in 400 years that went out to the corner flag and came back in against Barthez.
I'd have Marcelo over Carlos. I don't think either of them can defend particularly well, but I think going forward there's actually more substance and more thought in what Marcelo does. Going forward, as opposed to Roberto Carlos that just wants to let fly from anywhere when he gets it. I go for Marcelo over Roberto Carlos, but we're going to have to pick an alternate here, lads. Are we going with Philippe Lam because he got shafted in right back?
Let Phil go with this.
Go on, Phil. I'll let you have this one.
Oh, this is too hard, man. I'm going to. No, I'm going to put Marcelo in because again, I want this team to have balance in it.
Okay,
so
Schmeichel is our goalkeeper. Marcelo is our left back. Who was our Zanetti was our right back, as opposed to the viewer's choice, which is Buffon, Maldini, and Cafu. And Maldini obviously being the absolute standout one. Chris Back mentions cheekily Andy Robertson. He may go down as one of the greats in the next couple of years, but
he hasn't won a league yet.
No, when he wins the league, and I think that's when you start looking at things. Lads, the centre half is where it all really fucking kicks off, and I was looking for, off the lads I was speaking to, I was looking for 8 names. I must have got 14 names, and they were all in their rights, but we'll see how it goes. But look, the first vote was, you know what, we're going to look at this vote, we're going to look at the results, we're going to see what the viewer's choice was, and then we're going to have a look at it all. So we need 2 alternates, really. You can choose from anywhere for the alternates, obviously, right? Chris Brack says, still no Lamb in this team, the game is gone. Yeah, it's just the way things
I agree,
go,
Chris. I'm with you. If it was my choice, Chris, I would have put him in at left back, but however.
Well, you might in midfield.
No, you didn't. You didn't put him at left back, you put Marcelo there. So while Phil is with you, Chris, he's actually ruined your evening. And your World 11. The World 11 has been ruined for you forever, Chris. Because Phil agrees with you, but just done the exact opposite. Because he's a prick like that. The first vote went out this evening. It was Baresi.
I want to be a Tory Prime Minister.
Baresi, Nesta, Ramos, and Company. And the results were as follows. Company had 5%.
Company.
Can I rewind there?
Yeah.
Company,
yeah.
Company was a name that come up loads to us.
Who?
We wouldn't get in the top 50 of this. Since 1990.
How many corners used to put Company into that list?
I'm telling you, that was a name that come up loads. But listen, he got 5%. Ramos got 11. Nesta got 41. And Baresi, literally with 5 minutes to go in this vote, it was very, very. It was neck and neck, 42% each. I think.
I'm sorry.
Baresi pulled away with 44.
I'm putting a ceiling of having to have won a Champions League to be in this list.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
Or a floor. Sorry, not a ceiling, a floor. You have to have won the Champions League for a start to be in the equation for best centre back of a generation, which means Company can't be in that list.
Okay.
Right? Can't. He just isn't in the elite
he is.
He's nowhere near the elite level of centre backs we've had since 1990.
They were the names.
Nowhere close.
They were the names we were given.
Well, no.
That's what we went with. But look, the winner is Baresi on 44%. Now, Phil, 44% for Baresi. Where do you stand on Franco Baresi as a centre half? Do you agree with him winning out of them 4? And what would be your alternate to him?
Well, unless every person that was voting in it is bordering on a high risk category for coronavirus, they're talking through their hoops.
Right. Okay. In what way?
Because they never watched Franco Baresi. at the time. But they're just listening to people saying Franco Baresi was the best centre back of all time.
Okay.
He was very good. He was good.
But Keith, what age are you?
39, Phil. 39. I've seen a lot of Baresi.
Okay, I'll let you in on that. So you've seen it, and I can make a direct call because I watched Italian football through the 90s.
Yeah.
Seen him play in the AC Milan teams of the early 90s, mid 90s. Saw him win European Cups when Liverpool were banned from European competition. Well, here's the rub. He wins 3 European Cups. 2 of them come when Liverpool are banned out of the European Cup. And 2 of them come, 2 of those trophies are won when Liverpool had the John Barnes, Peter Beardsley, John Aldridge football team.
Yeah.
The greatest English team not to have played in European competition.
Okay.
And not just... And this is a team that was better than possibly all.
I'm going to let you discuss Franco Baresi for 2 minutes while I nip to the loo. I've never done this before, but I'm going to. So you continue on with Franco Baresi.
So for me, anyway, with Franco Baresi, he is an outstanding centre-back. He is definitely a generational centre-back. But unlike the rest of the lads we've discussed, Keith, I'd be saying, does Franco Baresi make it in the modern game?
No.
I think he's a good centre-back in the modern game, but not a great one. Whereas when I look at Paolo Maldini, he's a great left-back in the modern game.
Yeah. Yeah,
Carlos,
I can't argue with that.
No, Carlos and Marcelo will be great left-backs in the modern game. The lads we talked about right-back, Senesi will be an amazing right-back. We're talking about Trent Alexander-Arnold, that style of right-back. You look at Schmeichel, can he hack it as a top-level goalkeeper? He's going to be an elite-level goalkeeper in the modern game. Is Franco Baresi an elite centre-back in the modern game? And I think Baresi's brilliance is as much to do with the system that he personified as his level of ability.
Yeah, that is true. There is a certain amount of, not necessarily being a system player, but he was part of an organised defence that was built around them being so tight and so stingy that he was never overly worked. If you looked at Franco Baresi in the 90s, he looked like he was about 45 years old. He never had to run and he never broke a sweat. He was always in the right place. But if you compare that to someone like, let's say, Paul McGrath, for example, 1994 World Cup, McGrath's immense, but McGrath's not getting the cover and the system that Baresi was in. So I do agree to an extent that Baresi was helped maybe by the system and the style of play that AC Milan had, that Italian football had in the 80s and 90s. Well, but it's a hard one to knock him on as well.
There's loads of comments coming in here. Like Dylan O'Rourke says, John Terry or Rio, do they get a shout? Avo backs that up with Rio Ferdinand and John Terry are 2 alternatives worth a shout. I thought I'd say that through gritted teeth, he said. Kev O'Sullivan says, I'm 47 and seen enough to see that nobody read the game better than Baresi. But football back then, Italian side set deep, he was never caught in behind.
Much slower.
So, when you look at it, Baresi wins it, right? Is there anybody in that group there, Phil, that you would say, no, I would have went with over Baresi, or who was your alternative?
What was the group?
It was Company. It was.
So that's a nothing. So we've only got 3 players then.
Yeah, it was. I'll tell you, it was Nesta, Ramos, Company.
Okay, so John Terry and Rio Ferdinand are leagues above Company for a start. I just want to put that there, right? And
miles above.
And the fact that
people are asking, did I wash my hands? Yeah, I don't have to walk that far. I don't live in a massively big house. Go on.
Gary Pallister, Yapstam.
Gary Pallister.
Miles above them again.
Right. Steve Bruce.
Steve Bruce? Nah, Steve Bruce is about the same level.
Sammy Hubia.
Hubia is the same level as them as well. So, but we're talking about elite fellas who won league titles, and you're looking at them. Colin Hendry, why not throw him in if you're going to put Company in? You know what I mean? Now, for me, the names that are missing here that need to be discussed are Pepe.
Oh, dirty Madrid fella, Pepe.
Yeah.
Lovely stuff.
Portuguese lad.
Not thrown in enough. And Ricardo Carvalho.
Okay, yeah, of Chelsea and Portugal fame as well. And
Inter Milan fame. and Porto fame. He wins the Champions League at 3 different clubs. He's a game changer for all those clubs that he goes to.
Right.
And he's a difference maker.
Right, I need you to agree on an alternate here because Phil has got 2 shouts, Keith has got 1, and I'm going to give Keith the last one. So I need you to agree on an alternate to Baresi here.
So Baresi gets this.
Baresi goes in as the viewer's choice.
As the people's choice. So we're looking for an
champion.
alternate. Jeez, I don't know. Like, who's in the other list?
We can't pick another one in the other list, can we?
Oh, I get. Just pick a name. Pick a name who you want.
Well, we don't have to pick one of these 3, but.
No, you don't have to pick one of them 3. You can pick any
You
centre
see, my
defender.
thing on this, I loved like Argentinian defenders in the 90s. So I loved Roberto Ayala and I loved Roberto Sensini and the likes of these players.
Yeah.
They're not going to get in. So I don't know. Giuseppe Bergami playing centre back?
No,
through the
can't
90s.
squeeze him in.
Always
Can't
a
squeeze
right
him
back.
No,
can't squeeze him in. So I don't know. I mean, I know Cannavaro's in the next. I don't try to think who's in the next.
Choices.
Who's in the next group? That's what I'm more so trying to.
Keith, you're trying to hug me, but you've got a sore throat and a cough.
It's a virtual hug.
No, just not having it because you give it to me over binary.
Well, that's it. Yeah, you've got the virtual coronavirus off me now, Phil.
I think
you go with this one.
Right, for me, the one that I'm putting in, and people might disagree with me because there is a lot of recency bias in it, right? But I don't think you can leave out Virgil van Dijk.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
The only thing I would argue with you, Phil, is that if you take away, the trophies in Scotland, how much are they worth? If you take away the World Club Cup and the European Super Cup, which are brilliant things to win, he's won a Champions League, Phil. He's not won anything else.
Well, Gav, I'd happily go for Pepe or Sergio Ramos, and I'd probably.
I'm just making the argument. Listen, come here and I tell you, when Virgil van Dijk finishes at Liverpool, and whether it be 4, 5, 6 years, he will go down as one of the best centre halves that's ever been seen. But when you're talking earlier about trophy halls and this, that, and the other, people's argument against Virgil van Dijk will be, oh well, the trophies are only this. In my opinion, Virgil van Dijk is a much better player than the likes of Ferdinand and Terry and these sort of people. He's way above them.
Gav, the reason I'm putting him in there is I've watched all these centre backs, all the ones that we're talking about, everything, right? And honestly, I have never seen a centre back in my life like Van Dijk.
Either of
Yeah,
and
Liverpool is the sort of exception.
Liverpool's Virgil van Dijk from the start of 18-19. I've never seen a defender like it, and I mean that.
Never.
The first 6 months, he was okay. He was in and out. There was the odd injury. He was being built into the squad and brought in. And, he was brought in straight away. But you could see there was, he had to learn off different players that were around him and stuff like that. But from the start of last season, I have never seen a centre-half like him. Because no matter what you put against him, he deals with it. Like, Adama Traore is meant to be the big, fastest thing on the planet. And I include vehicles and everything in that, and he just went, would you fuck off?
And I'll be honest with you, right? My instinct would be to go for Ramos because I like the nasty, I like the dirty fucker, I like the master of dark arts, and that's why I brought Pepe into it. But when given that Van Dijk isn't in either list, for me, I've never seen a centre back like him. The closest I can compare him to is probably Hansen from watching him play, because he never seemed to have to make a tackle. And Van Dijk never seems to have to make a tackle, but he's quicker again. So
I think he's very similar to Rio Ferdinand.
But he's even better again.
Well, what I mean by that is he's rapid like Ferdinand. He's good in the air. He's a good organizer. The only thing I would say is, he doesn't commit as much as Rio Ferdinand does. He doesn't get caught, because Rio Ferdinand was caught every now and then. Listen, when lads are making YouTube videos on Virgil van Dijk because he didn't put in a tackle or didn't have a successful tackle, that's how good he is. So right now we're looking at our alternate to Baresi is Virgil van Dijk. Do we agree on that?
Yeah.
Okay, Keith, do we agree on that?
Yeah, I'm happy enough with that.
Okay,
yeah.
I thought Keith was moving house there while we were talking to him.
I am a bit, yeah, I am.
Okay, no worries. Right, so let me get the last one in. So the last one of the centre halves is Cannavaro, Puyol, Desailly, and Chiellini. Okay, now
much better group than the second.
Very interesting. Chiellini with 4%, Desailly with 18, Puyol with 29, but Cannavaro won this on 49%. First of all, Keith, do you agree with that result? Would that be in your show? What way did this fall for you when you seen it?
I'm a big fan of Cannavaro, I have to say, as far as defenders, because he didn't have the physical abilities, you know what I mean, to be a top centre back, but he was a fast little bastard and he read everything. So I think he is a good winner, a deserving winner. But I think this four is much higher quality than the last one. Vincent Kompany, I think, skewed the last group. Puyol was a great defender as well for Barcelona. He was an absolute stalwart for them, but he was a very put his face on the line. One of these merchants that really throw every body part in front. Desailly was a great player as well. I mean, he's won an awful lot. You think he goes back to the Milan teams as well in the 90s. He's had a great career, won World Cups, Euros. He'd be personally, my choice out of the list would have been Desailly. But you can't really argue. And then Chiellini, what did he get, 4%?
Yeah.
He's won a lot as well, you know what I mean? He's a top player, but yeah, Cannavaro was quality. He won the Ballon d'Or, didn't he? In after 2006.
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah, I think you're right, he did, yeah.
I think he won the Ballon d'Or.
A lot of people are mentioning PK here, people are mentioning Puyol.
PK now.
There's plenty in there. Puyol, for me, what a defender. He was like Carragher with long hair. And
he was because he was very emotional as well, and that's what half of his game was based on, the emotional sort of the fans, the electricity you get from the crowd, you know what I mean? So he was a very emotional defender, very last ditch. He was a great player.
Yeah. Phil, what do you make of this for? Cannavaro leading ahead of Puyol, Desailly and Chiellini. Are you a fan of Cannavaro?
I am. I think it's a great four. I would have liked two of them in the previous list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we can't do everyone, Phil.
And got rid of Kompany because I still can't figure out that one. That's really upset me.
Okay.
I feel like going around to Leo Varadkar's gaff and smashing it up.
He's not there.
He's not there. He's out telling people to
stop
messing.
Do you know who's missing?
Yeah. But this is where the alternates come in. Go on.
Bonucci.
I was going to say Bonucci because he did when Keith said Chiellini, and he was saying, look what he's won. I was like, yeah, but didn't he win a lot beside Bonucci, who was absolutely brilliant as well?
Yeah, now Chiellini to me, lads, he's been different gravy. Like he again, a bit like Maldini. He makes his debut when he's 4, but looks like he's 38. You know what I mean? He's been bald since he was born, and it's like you're looking at him and you're just there going, if you're gonna sort of make a prototype defender, a fella who can defend a high line can also defend it behind him, and not so much now because he is getting on a bit.
Absolutely,
but in his prime, but also played fullback.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And didn't have the body of a fullback at all.
No, but played it, and then was bitten by Suarez as well. And I don't know. It's hard to think of a better centre back to play alongside Van Dijk than Chiellini. Like if Van Dijk and Chiellini were playing alongside each other, imagine a peak Chiellini with Van Dijk right now. Whoever scores a goal against that, ever.
So the viewer's choice is Baresi, Cannavaro. We're going with Van Dijk. Are we going with Chiellini?
Like Cannavaro to me, no lads, it's not that I don't like for a fella who's only 4'3", he was amazing as a centre back. Yeah. And he gets all his
like a salmon he could.
Like he learned most from Paulo Montero, the dirty Uruguayan.
Yeah, loved him.
Round Naples and was his former influence, and then goes to Real Madrid and does all the stuff Cannavaro does at Madrid as well as Juventus and all the lads in Italy. And he should be people talk about him and should talk about him because he's a great little fella. Now he did look a bit like Napoleon when he was on the television during the World Cup, and that was a bit worrying because he looked even smaller then than he did now. But I don't disagree with the choice. Like in the same way Maldini is unanimous. If I see Cannavaro's name pop up, I'm going to do it. But Desailly, lads, Desailly was
immense. But the only thing I would say is Desailly was just a unit, wasn't he? He was an absolute monster. But didn't he play a good bit of football at centre
As a
midfield as
midfielder.
well?
He did, yeah.
I think was he part of the Milan side that took Barcelona apart in '94
He was,
in
yeah.
Athens?
93, 94.
Yeah,
93,
and-
94.
And the final in Athens was 4-0, and Desailly, from if I remember right, was in the middle of midfield and just ran amok.
Yeah,
Exactly.
he was there with Albertini, Dimitro Albertini, I think, would have played there as well. It was a great team. that
Boban
Milan
and
team.
all these sort of
And
lads.
they let Hulla play in front of him.
Yeah,
And the lads
It
had great
was
crack.
outrageous.
Fantastic.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But it was really only when he went to Chelsea that he switched to a centre back, wasn't he? Like he
And
did
France,
play a lot
and
of it.
France.
And France, yeah, he did play a lot of his time in Italy in midfield.
He played beside Larry White at France. So he
Yeah.
was,
Just on Cannavaro, like for the like you said, for a fella that is he 5'9"?
4-4.
Well, on Wikipedia it says 5'9". He could be 4'4". I'm not too
Can't
sure.
believe anything on Wikipedia.
If he goes to the Circle K garage on the Nace Road near the Red Cow, he will come in about 4 to 5 inches higher than he actually is because they've measured it wrong on the door. But it makes you feel great when you're leaving. Cannavaro always reminds me of ex-Shamrock Rovers defender Gino Brazil. There's one for the lads now.
There you go.
Small centre half that read the game brilliantly, tackled brilliantly, and was a really, really good footballer on top of it. So there's one for the lads. Now, at the end of all that, we have a viewer's choice of Buffon, Maldini left back with Baresi and Cannavaro, and the right back being Cafu. We have countered that with Schmeichel, am I right, as a goalkeeper?
Yeah.
We have gone left back, we've gone
Philip Lam.
We've gone Zanetti right back, and we've gone Virgil van Dijk with Chiellini. That's shaping up to two brilliant teams. I'd say the vote between these teams would be brilliant. As the week goes on, we're going to look at a midfield. Now, the midfield will be a midfield three, and then it'll be forwards like, left-sided forward, right-sided forward, and one striker. And, your midfield three will be made up of a deep-line player. It could be a box-to-box midfielder. We try categorise them that way, and then an attacking midfielder. We will do them as the week goes on.
Ronaldinho, Ronaldo, and Messi is the front three. And if there's any picks outside of those three,
well, my three,
may as
right, just on that before we finish then, right? Because for me, it'd be Ronaldo, Messi, and Ronaldo, the first ever Ronaldo, as my front three. Would you go against that, Phil?
Yeah, Ronaldinho, Ronaldo, and Messi. Ronaldinho is not given.
Ronaldinho, Ronaldo, as in Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah, there's only one Ronaldo.
No, there's not.
CR7.
No, R9 was the original Ronaldo.
He might have been the first one, but he's not the only one. So there's the only one Ronaldo, and that's the Ronaldo that scored 4,000 goals, has turned his hotels into hospitals for the coronavirus, and it has a man bun.
How do you know the R9 isn't doing the same, but he just doesn't want to blow his own trumpet about it?
He's too busy being a minister in Brazil.
I'd say he's too busy on the piss with Ronaldinho, to be perfectly honest.
Ronaldinho's in jail at the moment.
Oh, is he? Well, then Ronaldo's probably there with him.
Ronaldinho was arrested going into Peru to do a gig.
Yeah.
Because he had a false passport.
Why is Ronaldinho wandering around with a fake passport?
Hang on, Gav, the best bit is that at the moment he's playing a football match in the jail against the prison guards.
Yeah.
But he's not allowed to score because the prize is a pig for dinner at the end of the week. So either the guards win it or the prisoners win it. I swear to God.
It's so good, isn't it? He's fucking great. Do you remember he was meant to be going to United and do if you get me a helicopter on top of the Trafford Centre after every game so I can head to London and go on the lash on sign for you, and then they were like, no, it's not happening. Imagine that happened today. Ed Woodward would be slaughtered. Why didn't you just give him the fucking helicopter, Ed?
Ronaldinho embodies what football is really about. He's the fan. Yeah. He's the greatest.
Come here and I tell you, Dylan O'Rourke says Ronaldo over R9 Ronaldo. Cristiano over Ronaldo. Used to get my hair cut by Gino's brother, says Dylan O'Rourke. There you go. Serie A was ran by the Mafia in the 90s, so you can't use that as a yardstick, says Avo. I don't know what that's about, but listen, the Mafia are sound. Stephen, if any of the Mafia are listening, we think you're bleeding.
Calciopoli scandal.
Deep line player, Lothar Matthäus. Now, interesting, because Lothar Matthäus spent the back end of his career at centre half.
No, he's playing
midfielder.
Yeah, no, he didn't. He wandered in around there and he started doing sweeper messing and all. Do you know who definitely would have made it in? Do you remember your man that played for Germany around mid-90s, Euro 90s? Was it Matthias Sammer? He was a fantastic footballer, but injuries killed him, didn't they?
Company.
Yeah, I don't know how come.
Don't know how come they do that. That's just people that give you the names, and that's where come up. I didn't make up.
Please,
people think I made this up.
Gav, before we finish up, please name and shame who voted in the lads group for Company, because I want to know.
There was various people that voted for Vincent Company as a name.
Joe Walsh has won because he's definitely got coronavirus and his head has gone funny.
Joe Walsh has he's running the country on his own now because the rest of his lads are gone home, so they don't catch it. That's the word on Big Joe. Have you seen Joe on Twitter? He's amazing, right? He's asked for Simon Harris to shut all the pubs, and it's happened. And then Davo had a problem on post because he hadn't got hand sanitizer, so we made Joe get on to him and say, lads, the latest campaign was close the letterboxes, but we think on post have bought soap now, so Davo's in work in the morning. It's great crack we're having, like absolutely amazing crack. We've done an 8-minute clip of that. It's only for air use. We can't put it out online. If we put it out online, we'd be sued. But it was really good crack. So listen, despite the coronavirus, it's been amazing. But lads,
he did pick Company though, didn't he?
I'd say Joe did, yeah, and Grizz probably did as well.
Grizz absolutely did, yeah, because he's a muppet.
Yeah, but listen, come here. Those two teams are genuinely shaping up really well, aren't they?
That's 5%.
But the tough choices come now in the next lot. Midfield and forwards. We've already had a row over the forwards there.
No, you're not.
You might have Rivaldo in ahead of Ronaldo myself. So
you can't. The problem with Ronaldo and Messi is nobody's touching.
Nobody goes near them.
No,
nobody goes near them. And then Ronaldinho. If people remember back to just before the Ronaldo and Messi, nobody was even close to lacing what Ronaldinho was doing. Like he
was outrageous.
I'll go back to the Schmeichel thing. He invents new tricks that we've never, like the no look pass. You know, the thing that we think Firmino was great at doing at the moment. He was doing that with like Rabonas, and people had no idea. Like, nobody. There's so many YouTube clips of him doing stuff that the other players literally have zero clue.
Do you remember he done the ad? Do you remember he done the ad where he was volleying it off the crossbar and people thought it was real because he was that good? People going, it's definitely real, but it's definitely real. And you're like,
and also he does the ridiculous trick in the best Nike ad of all time.
I'll tell you how good Ronaldinho was. I'll tell you how good Ronaldinho was, right? Leo Messi, for me, is the best player I've ever seen, right? Yeah. People will argue Maradona, people will argue Cristiano Ronaldo. But for me, Leo Messi is the best footballer I have ever seen, right? But Leo Messi is hated by Real Madrid. You know, he's hated by lots of fans around the world simply because of who he plays for, who he is, blah blah blah. It's natural. Ronaldinho went to the Bernabeu one night, right, and he tore Real Madrid a new arsehole, and I mean this in the literal sense. And Real Madrid clapped him off the pitch.
Yeah,
that's how good Ronaldinho was. He was fucking outrageous. And
he just didn't have the will to win like some of the other ones did.
No,
you know, the
Messi
and the Ronaldo, he was just...
He never got away from the favela, the beach, the Copacabana. He never got away from that. He just played football like that and laughed his way through it and then went, you're paying me grand because I'm on the lash now for 3 weeks. But we're playing next week. Well, I might be there. I don't know. You know, he was a modern day George Best. That's what he was.
He was brilliant. Super.
He was so good.
But you know, lads, you're wrong when you say about the will to win.
Maybe will to win is the wrong way of putting it, but he didn't. He played the way he played. He was too free spirited. His style of play was too much for free spirit and happy and enjoyment. Oh, he did. He won an awful lot.
Leo Messi comes through that Barcelona side with Ronaldinho as their number 10. Yeah. So Leo Messi's learning from Ronaldinho, and although it's God given what Leo Messi has, don't tell me that Ronaldinho didn't have some influence on him because Ronaldinho was just special. Didn't he score on his debut for Barcelona from about 30 yards out where he just lamped it in the top corner? He got about 50 yards in goal, didn't he? He just went past about 2 for it and just lamped it in the top corner. Like there was no calling it. He just mashed it into the top bin. He was unbelievable.
Every time I think of him, do you remember David Seaman?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was 2002, Ronaldinho, when nobody, not that he didn't rate him, but he just thought, like in that side you had Ronaldo, you had Rivaldo, you know, you had Danielson in that side. Did you have Danielson in that side? Maybe he was 98. Maybe he was 98, not 2002. But Ronaldinho was seen as just this third wheel, you know.
The three R's, you know, Ronaldo, Rivaldo and Ronaldinho.
Yeah, well, he was seen as the third wheel, Phil. He was
I,
at that
I
stage.
know. Like, we could talk about centre backs, but when I beg anyone who doesn't realise how good Ronaldinho is, look, yourself, you're quarantined, right? You can't go anywhere.
You've nothing else to do.
Just go and watch him.
If you're listening to this online and you're in England at the moment, to be honest with you, your government's fucked you royally, right? So hide now, right? Hide, because they've really fucked you up. So, and while you're hiding, get on YouTube and just type in Ronaldinho. There's about 9,000 hours worth of Ronaldinho highlights.
He had his most fun at Milan.
Yeah, but everything is different. It's different. It's like there's stuff there that even to this day, other players, as good as Messi is and all this, none of them can even repeat the tricks that he's doing. The stuff he did with the ball, I've never. It's like the lads who do the tricks on the street for money, or you see them doing.
You see the lads on YouTube, the F2 or whatever they're called. Yeah, freestylers.
He was a real life 11-a-side Ballon d'Or winner,
messer,
freestyler,
doing it in matches against elite defenders.
Was. We're going way over time, but I like talking about Ronaldinho. Ella says Ronaldinho was the reason she started watching football. Amazing footballer. Stephen O'Connor says, great point, Ronaldinho was unbelievable. Let me see. You have to play a midfield diamond. There's too many good players, as Kev O'Sullivan. No, we're going to go with a 3 because we're going to make this as hard as we can. We can't be doing diamonds and 2 up front. We're going with a 3. Whatever way you want to play that 3 is up to you when you're trying to make your vote. The votes for the midfield will be on tomorrow. It'll be 3 votes throughout the day. They all last 2 hours. And tomorrow night will be on. I know Grizz will be on tomorrow night. Keith will probably be on. Phil might be available. Whoever's available will come on.
I guarantee it, Gerrard will win a slot in that midfield. And I would argue he doesn't deserve him.
Well, he may do.
Start planning your alternatives.
We'll have to wait and see. But look, it's been a brilliant show. I've loved reminiscing about all these old goalkeepers, defenders, right backs, left backs that were actually right backs, all that sort of stuff. And of course Ronaldinho, which you could just talk about all night. I'm sure it'll be the same when it comes to Messi, Ronaldo, and Cristiano Ronaldo, and whoever. Zidane is probably going to come up in this as we come along as well. But yeah, that's a hard one, isn't it? Zidane is the one where you kind of go, oh yeah, he was good. But as I said, he was outrageous as well. But as I said, there'll be 3 votes tomorrow, and throughout the day we will try to get a lineup for the pod tomorrow night at 10 o'clock. And again, we will go through the names that come up. Also, it'll be viewer's choice and it'll be alternate choice as well. Phil, thanks a million for joining me.
Gav, is there any chance maybe we could try figure out we could get 2 really good FIFA players, right? And instead of you doing a show one night, we could stream the two
teams against each other.
Yeah, right? See what the winner was.
Yeah, well, like we're innovating all week here because me and Keith started a Trippers band the other night. I don't know if you've heard about this, Phil, but we've started a band where people were telling us there are instruments that they play, and we've decided if you play an instrument and you can feel you can learn a song on said instrument, when the coronavirus goes away, the Trippers are going to have a big session somewhere in Dublin where we just all come along, play our instruments, and go on the lash. So,
do you want to know an interesting fact? Last Monday, when I wasn't on the show, I was in a rehearsal studio with our old friend and former podcasting colleague Stephen Daly, listening to his new band playing and doing a sound from.
Really? And how did he get on?
Well, I don't know. I haven't spoken to him since then. I think he's been in self-isolation since then.
Were you listening?
I was, yeah. I actually have it recorded as well.
Did he sound good?
They sounded very good after I fixed their sound.
Is Steve-O a lead singer?
No.
All right. Can you send me the recording?
I can, yeah.
Great stuff.
Does he play the banjo or the recorder?
Because
if he needs any...
No, he's a drummer.
Recorders.
He did take up the guitar for a little while, but Steve
did take up the guitar, but he is a drummer.
What's the name of his new band, or can you tell, or is it not allowed?
COVID-21.
COVID-21. Nice one. The club podcast last night was called Club Vid 19. So it's all happening. But look, that's definitely the end of it. We're on way too long. Phil, thanks a million for joining me. It's been a pleasure.
Grazie mille.
Thanks a million there. Chiellini saying goodbye. And Keith, as always, thanks a million, and we will talk to you soon.
Pleasure as always.
Good stuff. Thanks to everyone that voted on the polls today. Do so again tomorrow when we throw out ridiculous 4-person polls that Phil gets really upset about, goes down, breaks all sorts of lockdown rules, buys gin, buys wine, rings Steve-O and says, listen, you need your band and you need to get them in here quick because these fucking fellas are Egypts. That's been it. That's been the Fatback 480. Over and out.